Welcome back to another video, and today we got a very exciting video. We're going to be recapping the national championship game that was just played two nights ago. And of course, as some of you may know, many of you don't. Um, I am a diehard Ohio State fan, so I'm over the moon that they were able to get it done. I figured they would, and it looked like they were going to blow them out. Notre Dame came back into the game. We'll get into what happened in the game, my thoughts. But real quick before we get started, make sure you subscribe if you are new. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers by the end of the month. We're gonna cut it very close. We're 8 away, I think, right now. We got, what is it, like 10-ish days, 9 days. So there's definitely a real possibility. So if you could help me out, that it takes 2 seconds, it's free. Would love that. Not only do we have college football content, we do college basketball, NFL, and NBA every single week, as well as MLB content when that season is going. So if any of that interests you at all, make sure you go down there, subscribe, turn on the noties. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get a look at our final playoff bracket. So this is how it all played out, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty surprised that these were the two teams to make the national championship. We had none of the teams getting a bye, making it to the semifinals. I thought that was very interesting. Definitely a plot line I wanted to touch on. Uh, just as a whole, I mean, what a great season. We had a whole bunch of upsets. I mean, the two teams in the Natty, Notre Dame and Ohio State, both were upset themselves. Ohio State, obviously, that lost to Michigan, and we're going to talk about that, obviously. Notre Dame, we'll start with Notre Dame. Um, they played a great game. They started off hot. They went up 7-0, and they dove themselves in a pretty big hole. They were down 31-7, but they came back, and they had it to a one-score game. 4 minutes left in the game. Notre Dame, they were in this till the end. They showed a lot of fight. They showed a lot of resilience. I'm surprised Riley Leonard played as well as he did. First drive they were scrambling him a bunch. Notre Dame ran, like, what was it, a 24 play drive or something crazy like that. It was absurd. Riley Leonard, great game, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Jeremiah Love, only 4 carries. You could tell he wasn't 100%. He only had 3 yards. Notre Dame didn't have a run game besides quarterback runs at all, but they really couldn't run the ball, to be honest, because they were trailing by so much. Um, Obviously, they got that fumble that really turned the tide in the game. When was that? I think third quarter, because it looked like Ohio State was about to go score again, and Ohio State hadn't been stopped all game. So, um, that was pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, that was third quarter. Ohio State at that point had scored on every single drive. Then they fumbled. They were in field goal range. They were likely going to score again. And then Notre Dame goes down there. Now, this is something we got to talk about. If you're Marcus Freeman there, I know people are giving him a lot of, hate for that field goal when you're down 16, 31-15, fourth quarter just started. In the moment, I was thinking, why are you kicking it here? Either way, it's a two score game. Now I get it. You don't have to get the 2 points anymore. And if you do end up scoring 2 touchdowns, you could win. But ultimately, they missed the field goal. So in hindsight, he definitely would have went for it. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, why are we not going for it here? And it paid. It came back to bite him. Ohio State scored on all but two of their drives in the game. Notre Dame, they did great. That first drive, 9 minutes and 45 seconds. First drive, crazy stuff. They were just the defense for Ohio State couldn't get off the field. After that, Notre Dame couldn't get a first down for 2 drives. Ohio State went back to back to back to back in touchdowns. They were up 21-7 at half. It was looking great. They came out of second half up 28-7. Notre Dame turned it over on downs. And I was thinking to myself, yep, that's gonna do it. Ohio State made the field goal, 31-7, but then Notre Dame responded with a touchdown, 31-15, and then obviously we already talked about that missed field goal. You're down 16 um, at the 9 yard line. I get it's 9 yard line, fourth and goal, but you got to go for it there. I just don't understand the field goal because think about it. If you don't get it, still a two-score game. If you Let me rephrase this. If you kick the field goal and make it, it's still a two-score game. If you miss the field goal, still a two-score game. If you go for it on fourth and don't get it, it's still a two-score game. But if you do go for it and get it, you have a chance, a two-point conversion, to make it a one-score game. I know, at the 9 yard line, Ohio State's defense is so strong in the red zone. Maybe that's where he was going, where he was thinking, but I think you got to go for it there. They end up missing the field goal. They do force a punt, though, and then score again, but Ohio State took up 4 minutes of the, remaining, what was it, like, I don't even know, 4 minutes. They took it down to 30 seconds, kicked the field goal to win the game 34-23. And your 2025 national champs are Ohio State. So there's a couple things we got to talk about. First off, to everyone, includes myself, to everyone who is calling for Ryan Day's job, I think he deserves an apology. Stephen A. said this on First Take. I just can't believe. He said he wasn't apologizing. I don't know how you don't. He won it all. Ryan Day, not only did he win it all, he beat 5 top 5 teams this year, most in history. Ohio State, you look at the final AP poll, Ohio State beat the number 2 ranked team, Notre Dame. They beat the number 3 ranked team, Oregon. They beat the number 4 ranked team, Texas. They beat the number 5 ranked team, Penn State. They beat number 9, Tennessee, and number 10, Indiana. So, Ryan Day's team beat 6 top 10 teams, not including themselves. So that's, the only teams they didn't beat, Georgia, Notre Dame beat Georgia. Ohio State just beat Notre Dame. Arizona State, Texas beat Arizona State. Ohio State beat Texas. And Boise, who Penn State beat and Ohio State beat earlier in the season. So by that logic, Ohio State is the clear best team in the country. And I think that is a great testament to the 12-team playoff, because now, you're not going to see these underdog stories, but at least in the 12-team playoffs, you are going to guarantee the best team wins. Ohio State, I've said this since preseason, they have the best roster in college football. If they play to their best, they are the best team. Nobody can beat them. I've been saying that since preseason. You can look, at all my top 25 videos. I've said that, feels like every video. And they finally played up to their strengths. Ryan Day, Chip Kelly coached a great playoffs. You look at this playoff run, their average margin of victory was 18.5. That is insane, especially when you're playing, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Tennessee. They had the hardest path to the playoffs. I said that in my playoff prediction as well. Well, besides Tennessee, but Ohio State played Tennessee. You get what I'm saying? The 8 or the 9 seed has the hardest path to get in, at least in my opinion, because you have to play the best team, or the closest team to you. Then you go to play the number 1 team, and then you have to play Texas, and then you're in the national championship, and you're gonna play. It was Notre Dame. That is an extremely difficult path, and the fact that they dominated their way there the way they did. Crazy stuff. The fact that they finally trusted Will Howard. They were all playoffs, but it was making me so happy to see in this game specifically, because 3rd and 11, instead of just running the ball up the middle with Will Howard like they did the previous 2 plays, getting a little bit of more advantage in terms of clock management and giving Notre Dame the ball back down 8. They went for it all. They on 3rd and 11, they threw it to Jeremiah Smith one-on-one. He catches it, and they win the game because of it. That goes to show, I think Ryan Day has learned. I don't think he's going to be, what he's been doing in the big games where he plays it safe. He's not scared to get aggressive, and we've seen that throughout the playoffs. We saw what they did to Tennessee. We saw what they did to Oregon. We saw what they did in Notre Dame. Um, Ohio State deserves this. I don't think there's no argument here that they're not the best team in the country. I mean, come on, look at what they did here. Look at their path. I mean, they ran through everyone pretty much. Um, so yeah, Ohio State. This team will be forever one of my favorites. You know, it might not beat the 2019 team. That team always has a special place in my heart with Fields, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Chase Young, Jeff Okuda. It might be second though in my lifetime. Now, I was very young when they won it in 2014. I do remember watching it, but yeah, it's good to be back on the top. So we got two more things to touch on here, both about we'll start with the negative. It's not really negative, but people are saying this. All the stuff about Michigan, I'm just tired of it, man. He won the national championship. Nick Saban said this, in the past when Alabama won it all, but they lost to Auburn in the regular season in the Iron Bowl. He said he doesn't care about the Iron Bowl. They just won the national championship. I think the same goes for this. I don't know why everyone's so. I know it was a big upset. I know, but I don't know why everyone's so head over heels about this. I mean, Oregon beat Ohio State too. We saw what Ohio State did the second time they played them. Why is nobody talking about this? If Ohio State played Michigan again, do we really think Michigan would win? I mean, maybe. Ohio State hasn't won in a while. They haven't won in 4 years. But like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Oregon beat Ohio State. Second time around, Ohio State beat them by 20, and it could have been by a whole lot more. And that was in California. So I'm just sick and tired of it. Yes, Michigan won it all last year, 15-0. They won the Big Ten. They won the game. Ohio State didn't win the Big Ten. Ohio State didn't win the game. But are you telling me Ohio State's not the best team in the country? There's no argument. They are the best team. They deserve this. They earned it. Look at what they did in the playoffs alone. Um, Ohio State's the best team in the country. The second thing is, I'm tired. I think this one has been more. Everyone's talking about Michigan and how Michigan beat them. This one, most people I would say agree on. Maybe not, the diehards. The Big Ten at this point has overtaken the SEC. I'm sorry, they have. Michigan won it all last year. Guess who they played in the national championship last year? Washington. They played Washington, who's in the Big Ten now. This year, Ohio State wins it. Guess what conference they're in? The Big Ten. Guess who was the only undefeated team and the number one seed in the country this year? Oregon, who is in the Big Ten. You had Penn State in the semifinals, a field goal away from getting into the Natty. You have Notre Dame in the Natty. If Notre Dame was in a conference, they would probably be in the Big Ten. I know in basketball they play in the ACC, but football. There have been talks about Notre Dame in the Big Ten for a long time. I think the Big Ten has overtaken the SEC at the top of college football. You see Alabama not in the playoffs. Where's Ole Miss? Where's LSU? Texas A&M. None of them made the playoffs. Texas, it's their first year in the SEC. Now I know you could say the same thing about Oregon, but Texas had a good year. But Georgia didn't win a playoff game this year. They look like they're trending downwards. Same with Alabama. Same with a lot of other SEC teams. So I don't know. I think the Big Ten really stuck it to the SEC with this one. I mean, they've won 2 years in a row. That's really all you got to say. Um, I am very excited for the game next year. It is going to be in Michigan. Michigan will be a whole lot better. Ohio State will probably take a step down. I still think they'll be one of the best teams in the country, but maybe not national champions. We'll see. Maybe they can repeat. I would love that more than anything. I just hope going into that game next year that Ryan Day continues to get aggressive in the big games. I trust him now because look what he did these playoffs. He was as aggressive as he's ever been. But man, I don't know why they didn't throw the ball against Michigan. It's still just I don't know how they lost that game. Um, but we're past that. Ohio State won it all. They're the best team in the country. So yeah, all positive. I'm not trying to reflect on that game. We've done that enough. Ohio State is the national champion, and it's good to say that. First time in 11 years. First time really, knowing the team, watching every game in the season and watching them win. Because I did watch the 2014 playoffs, but I was very young. I didn't, watch the whole regular season really. I didn't really watch any of that. And I do remember watching those games, but it's good to finally, have a team because, you know, it's always good to when your team wins it all. I mean, it's an indescribable feeling. I was the happiest I've been in a long time when Ohio State kicked that game-winning field goal, or not game-winning, but game-sealing field goal. And yeah, Ohio State, what a season. Speaking of what a season. Before we get out of here, I just wanted to look at this really quick. This is my, or let's see this. This is my original playoff prediction. So I had Texas and Penn State right. I actually got all of the first round games right. Then in the semifinals, I had Texas, Penn State. I did pick Georgia and Oregon, but part of me, I really wanted to go with Ohio State over Oregon, but I didn't want to let my bias get involved, so I did pick Oregon. Also, I was scared I was going to jinx them a little, so I picked Oregon. And then I thought if Oregon got past Ohio State, they would win it all. And I honestly, I might still believe that Oregon is the second best team, maybe. Because, you could argue if they didn't run into Ohio State, they would have been in the Natty. But yeah, this was my original playoff prediction. Georgia, that was a miss by me. Not really an excuse there. Let's take a look at my preseason prediction. So I actually got the national champion right from the preseason. I had Ohio State beating Oregon, but there's definitely some huge misses here. Ole Miss, the big ones: Utah winning the Big 12 and Florida State winning the ACC. That was a prediction of mine. Alabama didn't make the playoffs. Missouri didn't make the playoffs. That was a miss. Miami didn't make it. They were close, though. Not horrible. Could have been better. But coming into the season, this was generally accepted. And I did have Ohio State winning, though. I had it right. But yeah, Ohio State is your national champions, and it's a great feeling. It's a great day to be a Buckeye. Yeah, I'm just so happy for Ryan Day and this team. But that is going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was kind of a weird one. It was kind of just me talking, but I don't know. I think, when you have a game like this, you got to recap. You got to talk about it. But yeah, this is going to be the last college football video for a little bit, actually. But it'll be good. It was a great season. It'll be good to have a little bit of a break. But come summertime, we'll be ramping back up again. So yeah, very exciting time. With my team winning it all. With that being said, we're finishing up with college football. We're not done on the channel at all. We post videos all year round. College basketball typically every Monday. College football is usually Tuesdays. Now with that being done, it's gonna switch around a little. NFL every Wednesday. That'll still be going for the next couple weeks. NBA every Thursday. This week it's a little different, but that's typically what you can expect. So 4 videos a week. Make sure you turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss any of those. Links in the description, as always. X, Twitch, TikTok, Discord. Make sure you follow those, join those. Make sure you subscribe. We're trying to hit 200 by the end of January. Only 8 away. We can do it, I believe. 1,000 would be, that's the ultimate goal by the end of the year. By 2026, I want 1,000. We'll see if we can do it. I'm confident in my ability. But yeah, that is going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you guys tomorrow with our NFL Conference Championship predictions.